Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Good afternoon, my name is RIO Putra Halim. On this occasion, I will express my opinion about the mass gathering disaster. I made this video to fulfill the odd semester UTS for the Speaking for Scientific Context course, Class D, with the lecturer Mrs. Susyanti Rusyan. As is known, at this time, the pandemic has begun to decline. The implementation of mass gatherings has begun to be active again. In my opinion, holding a gathering, even though the pandemic still exists, should be safe. As long as we comply with the health protocol, limit the number of crowds, then the spread can be prevented. However, in the last few gatherings, there were tragic endings, such as Kanjuruhan, Itaewon, and the collapse of the Indian Bridge. In my opinion, the cause of these three tragedies is the same, namely the crowds were too large. In my opinion, the implementation of this gathering is also in a hurry, because this tragedy occurred due to the lack of preparation and anticipation of the staff in paying attention to the crowds and activities that began to get busy after the COVID-19 pandemic conditions improve. If they really want to hold an event, they should be prepared for all the possibilities that will occur from a month or two before the event. As for the reason why many people want to gather after the pandemic, because as we know, during the peak of the pandemic, we are not allowed to interact outside, such as gathering and doing activities. Therefore, when the pandemic begins to subside, many enthusiastic people want to gather with distant relatives or gather to watch an event or match that they have always been waiting for. Now I will give my thoughts on the tragedy one by one. Firstly, the Kanjuruhan tragedy. The cause was a mass riot after being hit by tear gas. In my opinion, the first mistake is the supporters, because they did not accept their team's loss and eventually many entered the field. The second fault is the police, because by firing tear gas, the mass become chaotic and eventually push each other. In addition, the stadium door, which was opened late due to the negligence of the committee, caused many casualties. My thoughts on this tragedy: the committee should be more responsive in handling the riots, and also the supporters should be more mature in watching the ball. Secondly, the Itaewon tragedy. The cause was the overflowing crowd on the narrow streets. The main fault is the lack of police personnel who stand guard there, while the number of its mass is almost 100,000. Plus the Itaewon street, which is only 4 meters wide. Furthermore, many crowds are working in opposite directions from each other, thus pushing each other. As a result of the downhill roads, many people fell like dominoes. I think supposedly the Halloween event was not held there, but in a wider place, given the large number of Halloween fans and also the addition of police personnel in order to control the crowd. And lastly, the bridge collapse in India caused by overcapacity. At the time before the incident, the community was carrying out the Diwali celebration. The bridge that was supposed to accommodate 125 people is now filled with 300 people. The main mistake was the company responsible for maintaining the bridge, because this bridge was officially opened without a certificate of feasibility permit. In my opinion, the authorities should investigate first whether this bridge already has a permit or not, and do not immediately inaugurate it. As for the development of COVID virus after all these events, there has been no drastic increase in cases. Therefore, we really shouldn't have to worry about participating in various gatherings. It's just that the organizer must be more mature in managing the gathering. The ways are such as limiting the number of visitors and conducting strict surveillance around the crowd. That's all I can say. Thank you very much. Wabillahi taufiq wal hidayah. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.